With this blaze, our existence scorched to nothing. The wedding band struck the blackened heap of luxury garments with sharp metallic clink that echoed like the final knell of my union. 15 years of acting like Emily's iciness was merely pressure from her job. 15 years of accepting her falsehoods about delayed gatherings and weekend seminars. And it all boiled down to a text note she intended for another. Alex is in the shower. God, I can't wait to feel a true gentleman inside me again. His feeble efforts last night made me want to chuckle. That's what I saw on her device when it vibrated on our kitchen surface this morning. The note was aimed at someone called Ryan, and in her contacts, Ryan Harlan, her superior at Crestview Enterprises. My name is Alex Reed, and until 3 hours ago, I believed I had a solid existence. I'm 39, a site supervisor for Harlan Builders here in Philadelphia. I repair things professionally. Structures, piping, wiring setups. Turns out I couldn't repair the single thing that counted most. I'd been standing there in our kitchen, coffee cup halfway in my mouth, reviewing those words repeatedly until they seared into my mind. Emily was upstairs preparing for another critical client session that would likely include Ryan's sweet and my wife's stage groans. The ironic part is, I wasn't even shocked. Deep inside, I'd sensed for months the way she recoiled when I reached for her, the way she begun exercising fanatically, purchasing costly undergarments I never witnessed her in, the way she'd gaze at me sometimes with this look of utter revulsion like I was something she trod upon, but sensing and possessing evidence are separate beasts entirely. I grabbed her device and poured through weeks of notes, months, really. The liaison had been active since last holiday season. While I was pulling extra hours to cover her Audi and her regular salon visits, she was noting Ryan about how superior he was to me in every conceivable manner. Alex thinks he's so clever with his minor building tasks. But Ryan, you constructed a dynasty. Alex's hands are perpetually grimy, but yours are so pristine and powerful. I simulate it every time with Alex. With you, I don't need to feign anything. Ryan, when can we cease concealing? I'm so weary of feigning affection for him. Each note was like a blade rotation, but I continued reviewing. Label it self-torment, label it meticulousness. Either way, I required knowing precisely how profound this disloyalty extended. The harshest element wasn't even the liaison itself. It was how they discussed me. Like I was some sort of jest, some pitiful failure who merited being deceived because I wasn't wealthy enough, polished enough, adequate enough for Emily's sophisticated preferences. Well, they were about to discover that this pitiful failure possessed a few strategies in reserve. I'd expend the last 3 hours systematically demolishing everything Emily possessed, not in fury. That would have been careless. I executed it with the identical precise coordination I applied on building locations. Every couture gown, every set of footwear that exceeded most folks' monthly housing costs. Every item of adornment her parent had acquired her to underscore my insufficiency. All of it entered our rear yard fire basin. The adjacent residents likely assumed I was hosting a cookout. If only they realized I was incinerating my union. Emily's vehicle entered our entry path just as I placed a wedding band onto the cinders. Ideal synchronization. Through the kitchen pane, I observed her adjust her cosmetics in the rearview reflector, likely preparing to deceive me regarding her whereabouts. She entered via the main entrance with that artificial grin she'd honed over the years. "Hi, darling. How was your day?" I was seated at our kitchen counter, her device before me, display still revealing her exchange with Ryan. Curious inquiry, how was yours? She eyed the device, and her complexion paled. For a moment, I nearly pitted her. Nearly. Alex, I can clarify. Can you? Because I've been examining your clarifications for the past 3 hours, and they're quite elaborate, particularly the sections about my bedroom capabilities and how much you despise contacting me. She attempted to seize the device, but I withdrew it. Oh, no, we're not finished yet. I especially relish the note where you and Ryan debated how dim I am for not detecting this earlier, though I must concede you're both correct on that point. Emily's artificial poise shattered entirely. You had no authority to inspect my device. I had no authority? I chuckled, and it rang harsh even to me. You've been betting your superior for 8 months and sharing in particulars about our intimate life, but I'm the one who overstepped. She attempted another tactic, moisture gathering in her eyes. Alex, please. It's not what you imagine. Ryan and I were just what? Just sharing an emotional bond that became corporeal. Just testing your alternatives. Just awaiting the proper moment to inform me what a letdown I am. I rose, and she genuinely retreated a pace. Good. She awed a fear. Where are my outfits? She inquired abruptly, scanning as if she just noticed an absence. Amusing, you should inquire. I motioned toward the rear yard. Glance over. She dashed to the glass slider and gawked at the fuming mound of residue and material. The noise she emitted was midway between an inhalation and a shriek. You incinerated everything, Alex. Those outfits were valued at thousands of dollars, were being the operative term. Now, they're valued about as much as our union. I passed her en route to the main entrance. Incidentally, I placed something unique atop the mound. You might wish to rummage for it. Where are you heading? I halted at the entrance away from you. I'll contact via my attorney. Alex, hold on. We can resolve this. We can attend therapy. We can what? Emily? We can improve our dialogue. We can reconstruct confidence. I pivoted to face her once more. Here's some dialogue for you. I know about Ryan. I know about the sweets. I know about every falsehood you've uttered to me for the past 8 months. And here's what you can rely on. I'm finished being your pitiful spouse who remains unaware. I departed and entered my pickup, leaving her positioned in our entryway. In the rear-view reflector, I could observe her sprinting toward the rear yard, likely aspiring to recover something from the residue. She wouldn't locate much. I'd been exceedingly meticulous. My device vibrated with a note from Emily. Alex, please return home. We need to discuss this like grown-ups. I noted back. Grown-ups don't deceive their partners for 8 months. Grown-ups don't ridicule their companions to their paramours. Grown-ups don't fabricate every single day for the majority of a year. But you're correct about one aspect. We do need to converse. You'll hear from me shortly. I motored to my sibling Tom's flat across the city. Tom was 2 years my junior, labored as a technician, and had never favored Emily. He attempted to caution me about her multiple times, but I'd been too obstinate to heed. Well, Tom said when he unlatched the entrance and viewed my expression, allow me to speculate. You finally discerned what the rest of us already comprehended. Can I stay here for a few days? Naturally you can, but first, inform me you didn't merely depart with your spirit crushed. I smirked for the initial time all day. Tom, you know me better than that. Departing was merely the initial maneuver. Tom's flat was a tribute to everything Emily had attempted to force me to abandon. Athletic souvenirs adorned every surface. Vacant ale containers functioned as ornamentation, and his sofa had witnessed superior eras. It was flawless. So what's the strategy? Tom inquired, passing me an ale and positioning into his lounger. Please inform me it entails making that sorceress compensate for her deeds. Oh, it does. But first, I require knowing precisely what I'm confronting. I extracted my portable computer and began entering. Inform me what you know about Ryan Harlan. Tom's eyes brightened. The man she's been betting, I know ample. He's wed to some affluent physician. Resides in that elegant tower downtown. Operates a luxury sedan that exceeds our biennial earnings. What more? Rumor is he's repeated this prior. Deceives the spouse routinely, but always with staff under him. Maintains it discreet, maintains it occupational. Fellow's a hunter, but a cunning one. I devoted the subsequent hour investigating RPYN Harlan digitally. Professional network displayed his career trajectory. Social platform provided family images with his spouse, Clara, and additional probing uncovered intriguing particulars about his private existence. Ryan Harlan was 45, wed for 12 years, no offspring. His spouse, Clara, was indeed a physician, a prosperous heart specialist with her own clinic. They occupied a top-floor residence downtown and appear to possess the ideal existence, at least on digital feeds. But digital feeds deceive, just like deceiving partners. I need to encounter this fellow, I stated. What? Like, approach and present yourself? Hi, I'm the spouse you've been ridiculing for 8 months. Not precisely. I was already shaping a strategy. I need to comprehend what Emily perceives in him, what renders him so superior to me, according to her. The following morning, I motored to Crestview Enterprises downtown. It was one of those crystal and metal tributes to business triumph. The sort of venue where individuals like Emily felt significant and individuals like me were unnoticeable. I stationed across the roadway and awaited. At 11:47 a.m., Ryan Harlan exited the structure, and I obtained my initial view of my spouse's paramour. He was everything I wasn't. Towering, impeccably maintained, donning attire that likely exceeded my pickup's value. Assured in that manner deriving from never fretting over finances or employment stability. The sort of gentleman Emily had always desired she'd when instead of compromising for me. I trailed him to a premium eatery where he joined two other executives for midday meal. I couldn't approach sufficiently to overhear their dialogue, but I could observe him distinctly through the pane. The manner he motioned when speaking, the manner he grinned at the server, the manner he inspected his device incessantly, likely noting my spouse. This was my adversary. This was a gentleman who had seized my existence and persuaded my spouse that I wasn't worth remaining loyal to. But as I observed him, I comprehended something vital. Ryan Harlan possessed vulnerabilities just like all others. He was conceited, negligent with his device, and evidently accustomed to evading repercussions due to his wealth and status. That conceit was going to be his ruin. I expended the remainder of the week absorbing everything possible about both Ryan and Emily's daily patterns. She was residing at her acquaintance Sarah's flat downtown, likely informing everyone what a dreadful spouse I'd been. Ryan was upholding his standard timetable, likely presuming I was just another shamed spouse who would silently vanish. They were both mistaken. On Friday dusk, I obtained the opportunity I'd awaited. I was positioned in a beverage outlet near Crestview Enterprises when I spotted Ryan's spouse, Clara, enter solo. She appeared exhausted, tense, and kept inspecting her device with growing irritation. I neared her seating. "Pardon me, are you Dr. Clara Harlan?" She glanced up, astonished. "Yes. Do I recognize you?" "Not yet. My name is Alex Reed. I believe we share a connection. I'm apologetic. I don't comprehend." I seated across from her, without invitation. Our partners are engaged in a liaison. The hue drained from her complexion, but she didn't refute it. She didn't appear stunned either. She appeared weary, like this was a dialogue she dreaded but anticipated. "How long have you known?" She inquired softly. "About a week." "How long have you known?" "Months. Perhaps longer." She massaged her forehead. "Ryan thinks he's so cautious, but he's not. The delayed gatherings, the weekend seminars that don't occur, the way he beams at his device. I'm not foolish. Why haven't you challenged him?" She chuckled sourly. "Because I'm timid. Because it's simpler to act everything's acceptable than to demolish my existence. Because I kept wishing it would conclude independently like the priors." The priors? This isn't Ryan's initial liaison. It's merely the lengthiest one. She regarded me with something akin to compassion. "Your spouse isn't unique to him, you realize. She's just the most recent in an extended series of females who believe they can alter him. That should have comforted me, but it didn't. It merely enraged me further." "What are you planning?" Clara inquired. "I'm going to force them both to compensate for their deeds. The inquiry is, do you wish to assist me?" She gazed at me for an extended instant. "What do you envision?" "I want to provide them a sample of their own treatment. I want them to experience betrayal, shame, and abandonment. I want them to forfeit everything they believe elevates them above us. And how precisely do we achieve that?" I grinned. "Entrust that to me, but I'm going to require your aid with a few elements." Clara and Harlan regarded me with something I hadn't observed in a female's gaze for an extended period. Admiration. "Inform me what you require." Clara and I convened the subsequent dusk at a serene tavern beyond the city. She'd expended the day contemplating my suggestion, and I could perceive the resolution in her gaze before she even seated. "I'm participating," she stated plainly, "but I have stipulations." "Specify them." "Nothing unlawful. Nothing that could harm my healing practice. And when this concludes, I desire a straightforward separation with half of everything Ryan possesses." Reasonable enough. What I envision won't infringe any statutes, but it will shatter their resolve. I detail my strategy over the subsequent hour. Clara listened attentively, occasionally posing queries or proposing adjustments. She was more intelligent than I'd anticipated, and more unrelenting than her polished appearance indicated. "You truly believe this will succeed?" she inquired when I concluded. "I believe Ryan and Emily have been toying with people's existences for too long. It's time someone reciprocated." The initial stage of my strategy necessitated approaching Emily's social network. She'd always fixated on preserving her persona among her acquaintances, and I knew that damaging her standing would wound more than any monetary deficit. Emily's nearest companion was Sarah Langley, a chatty property broker who thrived on intrigue as long as she wasn't the focus. Sarah had never favored me greatly, but she'd always been courteous to my face while likely conversing behind my back. I contacted Sarah on Sunday midday. "Alex, is that you? Emily informed me you two were experiencing some difficulties." Difficulties is one perspective. "Listen, Sarah, I realize this is uncomfortable, but I need to pose something. Did you know about Emily and Ryan?" There was an extended silence. "Alex, I don't believe I should involve in so... You did know." Another silence. I presumed something, but Emily never stated directly. "How long have you presumed?" "A few months, perhaps." She began mentioning Ryan frequently, and she appeared altered, more joyful, I suppose. I thought perhaps matters were improving between you two, because she was obtaining what she required elsewhere. "Alex, I'm genuinely apologetic. If I had known certainly, I would have spoken." She was fabricating, but I permitted it. "Sarah, I need an assistance. I know Emily is residing with you, and I know she's likely to picture me as the antagonist in all this, but I want you to know the reality about what's occurred." I devoted the next 20 minutes relating Sarah-chosen particulars about Emily's liaison, carefully selecting facts that would create optimal rumor, how long it had persisted, some of the harsher remarks Emily had made about me, and most crucially, how Emily had been deceiving all her acquaintances about her union. "She informed everyone that you were the issue," Sarah stated quietly. "She said you become aloof and unappreciative, that you didn't value her anymore. Did she note that she was betting her superior, while I was laboring extra to fund her way of life?" "No, she certainly omitted that segment. I anticipated..." "Listen, Sarah, I'm not requesting you to choose factions. I just want individuals to know the reality before Emily completely revises the past." After I disconnected, I knew Sarah would be contacted within moments, disseminating the actual account to everyone in Emily's social network. By tomorrow, the account would be entirely altered. Stage 2 necessitated Clara's aid. Ryan maintained his personal portable at residence, and Clara had entry to it. More crucially, she had entry to his correspondence accounts and digital profiles. "Are you certain about this?" Clara inquired when we convened at her top-floor residence Tuesday dusk. Ryan was at another delayed gathering, likely with Emily. "I'm certain. We're not appropriating anything or infiltrating accounts that aren't his. We're just recording what's already present." Clara guided me to Ryan's residence workspace, a tribute to his own achievements with honors and images covering every area. His portable was secured by code, but Clara knew the code her anniversary. Even his disloyalty was conceded. What we discovered exceeded my expectations. Ryan had been negligent with his electronic trace, retaining correspondences and images from numerous liaisons over the years. There were sweet invoices, dining tabs, and most condemning of all, a directory of images and recordings from his meetings with various females, including several current ones with Emily. "Mercy," Clara murmured, viewing images of her spouse with my spouse. He retained mementos. Males like Ryan always do. They can't resist recording their victories. I duplicated everything to a memory stick while Clara monitored the entrance. The proof was overpowering, not just Ryan's liaison with Emily, but a pattern of hunting conduct extending back years. "What are you planning with all this?" Clara inquired. "I'm going to offer Ryan and Emily a selection. They can terminate their liaison discreetly and confront the repercussions of their deeds, or I can render this proof open and ruin both their professions." "You believe they'll select discreetly?" I believe they're both too conceited to accept I'll truly proceed, and when they challenge my fate, I'll demonstrate just how erroneous they are. The following morning, I dispatched identical correspondences to both Ryan and Emily from an unnamed account. I know about your liaison. I possess proof, images, correspondences, sweet invoices, and much more. You have 48 hours to terminate your connection and admit to your respective partners, or this proof becomes open. This is your sole alert. I appended one image to each correspondence. Nothing overt, just Ryan and Emily embracing in a sweet entrance area. Sufficient to confirm I wasn't feigning, but not sufficient to reveal my complete set. Emily contacted me within an hour. Alex, what the devil is this correspondence? Are you menacing me? I'm providing you a chance to act correctly for once in your existence. You can't extort me. I'll notify the authorities and inform them what? That your spouse possesses proof of your liaison and desires you to admit. Best wishes with that. Alex, please. We can resolve this, Ryan and I. It's not grave. It was merely an error that escalated. An error that endured 8 months. An error that involved you ridiculing me to your paramour. An error that included elaborate debates of our private existence. She was weeping now, but I sensed nothing. Please, Alex. I'll do whatever. I'll terminate with Ryan. I'll attend therapy. I'll compensate you. It's too delayed for that, Em. You selected when you decided I wasn't worth loyalty. Now you endure the repercussions. Ryan contacted an hour after Emily. Listen, you pitiful little fellow. I don't know what you believe you're accomplishing, but you're toying with danger. Am I? Because from my position, you're the one about to ignite. Do you have any concept who I am? What I can inflict on you? I can ruin your profession, your standing, your whole existence with one contact. Amusing. That's precisely what I'm about to inflict on you. You're nobody, Reed. You're a builder with illusions of importance. Emily was compromising when she wed you, and she approached me because she required a true gentleman who deceives his spouse, a true gentleman who hunts his staff, a true gentleman who retains memento images of his victories. Yeah, you're a genuine noble, Ryan. The connection silenced for a moment. What do you desire? I desire you to comprehend that deeds have repercussions. I desire you to know the sensation of your existence, inverted by someone you undervalued. And I desire you to recall this dialogue when your realm collapses around you. I disconnected and awaited. 48 hours later, neither Ryan nor Emily had admitted anything. They'd challenged my fate, just as I'd anticipated. Time for stage 3. The initial correspondence departed at 9 a.m. on Friday morning to every staff at Crestview Enterprises, including the directors and personnel unit. The header was straightforward. Office misconduct. Proof appended. The correspondence contained a precisely phrased description of Ryan Harlan's pattern of improper connections with underlings, supported with records spanning 3 years, images, sweet invoices, correspondences, and account from Clara about Ryan's history of disloyalty. I've been cautious to present everything in terms of office misconduct and authority abuse rather than mere unfaithfulness. Ryan wasn't just deceiving his spouse. He was generating a hostile workplace and potentially exposing the firm to legal actions. The second correspondence went to Emily's personnel unit at her firm, detailing her liaison with a customer and how it breached her firm's moral guidelines. The third correspondence went to the Philadelphia Commerce Gazette along with several other regional press sources. Business controversies involving liaisons and misconduct were always appealing for views. By midday, both Ryan and Emily were contacting me desperately. "You scoundrel," Emily yelled into the device. They paused me awaiting probe. "Do you realize what this implies for my profession?" "I realize precisely what it implies. It implies you're finally confronting repercussions for your deeds. I'll prosecute you for slander. I'll seize everything you possess. With what counsel and what funds? Last I learned, you were paused without compensation." Ryan's contact was more restrained, but equally enraged. "You have no concept what you've just executed," he stated coolly. "I will ruin you for this. You're invited to attempt, but you might wish to concentrate on your own issues. I hear the directors convened an urgent session about you this midday. This isn't concluded. You're correct about that. This is merely the start. I disconnected and contacted Clara. How are you managing? Better than anticipated. Ryan returned home yelling about you, but when I informed him I already knew about the liaisons and was initiating separation, he deflated rapidly. Any second thoughts? Only that I delayed so long to act. My counsel says with all this proof, I should obtain everything I requested in the separation. Good. You merit superior to Ryan. So, do you, Alex? So, do you? That dusk. Tom and I were viewing the broadcast when the account emerged. Station 7 led with regional leaders' pause and misconduct controversy, complete with archived images of Ryan and references to the continuing probe. Goodness, Tom said, lifting his ale in tribute. You truly executed it. You toppled the prize fellow. This is just the opening bout. They both still believe they can endure this tempest and emerge unscathed on the other side. What's subsequent? Subsequent. I ensure everyone they know comprehends precisely what sort of individuals they truly are. Over the weekend, I developed a thorough digital site recording Ryan and Emily's liaison. Not explicit or overtly spiteful, but a clear, factual chronology of occurrences with backing proof. I secured the address under Ryan's name and ensured it would appear in search outcomes for both of them. I also contacted Emily's other companions, Lauren, Brooke, and Megan, with precisely crafted notes explaining how Emily had been deceiving them about her union while pursuing her liaison. The replies were rapid and severe. Lauren labeled Emily a self-centered hag in a social post. Brooke removed her from all digital platforms. Megan, who had been Emily's chief attendant, sent me a note apologizing for not perceiving Emily's deceptions earlier. By Monday morning, Emily's whole social network had revolted against her. The females who had once coveted her flawless existence were now rumor-mongering about her collapse, with the identical zeal they'd once saved for others' controversies. Emily appeared at Tom's flat Tuesday dusk, appearing as if she hadn't rested in days. Alex, please, you must halt this. I forfeited my position. All my companions despise me, and I can't even appear publicly without folks gawking. Amusing how that operates, isn't it? Deeds have repercussions. I know I wounded you, and I'm apologetic. I'm genuinely profoundly apologetic, but this has exceeded limits. You're demolishing my whole existence. The way you demolished our union. It's not equivalent, is it? You deceived me every day for 8 months. You ridiculed me to your paramour. You caused me to feel insane for suspecting what was transpiring directly before me. You demolished my capacity to rely on anyone ever again, but somehow what I'm executing is worse. She was weeping more intensely now. Alex, I know I committed errors. Errors? Emily, you didn't inadvertently tumble into bed with your superior. You didn't mistakenly dispatch him images of yourself. You didn't inadvertently expend months plotting an existence with him while deceiving my face every single day. Those weren't errors. Those were selections. What do you desire from me? What will it require for you to cease this? I desire you to comprehend what you inflicted on me. I desire you to know the sensation of your existence demolished by someone you relied upon. I desire you to endure the shame and disloyalty that you imposed on me. And then what? After you've demolished everything I've labored for, after you've ensured I can never reconstruct my existence, then what? Will that improve your sensation? I regarded this female I'd once adored. This individual I constructed my entire mature existence around and sensed nothing but disdain. I don't know, Emily, why don't we discover? She departed without another utterance. I never encountered her again. But I wasn't finished with Ryan Harlan. Not by any measure. Ryan Harlan had always trusted that wealth and influence could resolve any issue. He was about to learn how erroneous he was. The discreet examiner I employed located precisely what I'd hoped for. Ryan had been utilizing firm funds to cover his liaisons. Suite chambers, eateries, presents, all billed to Crestview Enterprises as customer amusement expenditures. It wasn't strictly theft since he was a top leader with flexible allocation authority, but it was certainly a breach of firm rules and potentially basis for legal accusations. More crucially, it provided me influence. I organized convene Ryan at his workspace on Thursday midday. He consented, likely believing he could daunt me or purchase me off. Males like Ryan never absorbed. Crestview Enterprises' leader level was all stone, and was crafted to awe guests with the firm's triumph and reliability. Ryan's Edge workspace had ground-to-roof panes overlooking the metropolis, a panorama that likely exceeded my annual earnings per month. Ryan was seated behind his counter when his assistant ushered me in. He didn't rise or extend a greeting grasp. Well, the victorious champion arrives to boast. Actually, I arrived to propose an offer. I'm attentive. I seated across from his counter and extracted a paper envelope. These are duplicates of your expenditure records for the past 2 years, compared with suite invoices and dining tabs from your various liaisons. Ryan's expression didn't alter, but I observed his grasp tighten faintly on his counter. You've been employing firm money to finance your private existence, specifically to cover suite chambers where you've been bedding your staff and other male spouses. That's a grave claim. It's a recorded reality. I possess invoices, payment records, and accounts from suite personnel who recall you and your various escorts. I unsealed the envelope and distributed several papers. The grand in downtown March 15 billed to Crestview Enterprises as a customer meal. But there was no customer. Was there, Ryan? Just you and Emily in chamber 1247. Ryan inclined forward to examine the papers. What do you desire? I desire you to step down from Crestview Enterprises immediately. I desire you to openly acknowledge your liaisons and regret to your spouse and the females you've exploited. And I desire you to reimburse the firm for every cent you've appropriated. And if I decline, then these papers go to the prosecutor's workspace, the tax authority, and every primary press source in Metropolis. You'll confront legal accusations for theft. Your spouse will seize you for everything in the separation, and you'll never labor in this metropolis again. Ryan rose and approached his pane, gazing at the metropolis he'd once believed he controlled. You know what the amusing aspect is, he stated without pivoting. Emily wasn't even that skilled in bed. Zealous, certainly, but nothing extraordinary. Certainly not worth all this hassle. Then why did you chase her? Because I could. Because she was wed to a nobody like you, and it entertained me to seize her from you. Because she was so eager to elevate that she complied with anything I requested. He pivoted back to face me. You want to know what she truly thought of you? She used to chuckle about how pitiful you were, how you strive so diligently to satisfy her, and she just reclined pondering me. She said being wed to you was like being confined in an enclosure with a devoted canine. I sensed the fury accumulating in my torso, but I maintained my tone even. Is that intended to wound me? Because all it does is verify what I already comprehended, that you're both awful individuals who merit each other. We do merit each other. That's why this isn't concluded. Emily and I were going to unite regardless of your actions. You can ruin my profession, my standing, my union, but you can't alter the reality that she selected me over you. I grinned. Actually, Ryan, I can. Emily contacted me 3 days ago, pleaded me to halt my efforts against her. She proposed to do anything, and I mean anything, to regain her existence. Ryan's assured demeanor wavered faintly. She also revealed some very intriguing aspect about your connection, how you vowed to depart your spouse, but kept fabricating justifications, how you assured her she was unique, but she discovered your other liaisons, how you've been dangling her with no plan of truly constructing an existence with her. I rose and approached his counter. Emily doesn't adore you, Ryan. She adores what you symbolized: wealth, prestige, and escape from her dull existence with me. But now that you can't supply those anymore, how long do you believe her loyalty will endure? You're fabricating. Am I? When's the last occasion she responded to your contacts? When's the last occasion she started contact instead of awaiting you to extend? Ryan's complexion was ashen now. She's just fearful because of your actions. She's fearful because she finally perceives you for what you are, a hunter who exploits his status to control susceptible females. And now that your status has vanished, what precisely do you have to offer her? I positioned the contact card on his counter. That's my attorney's number. You have 48 hours to determine whether you wish to step down discreetly or confront legal accusations openly. Either way, your profession at Crestview Enterprises is concluded. I approached the entrance, then halted and pivoted back. Oh, and Ryan. Emily requested me to convey something. She said to convey that she's finished toying with juveniles, and she's prepared to resolve matters with a true gentleman. It was a fabrication, but the expression on Ryan's face rendered it valuable. I departed in position in his workspace, gazing at a metropolis that would never regard him identically again. 2 days later, Ryan Harlan stepped down from Crestview Enterprises, citing private causes and a wish to devote more time with kin. The firm accepted his step-down and declared they would be examining their expenditure rules and performing a complete review of leader allocations. Emily departed Philadelphia entirely, accepting a role with a minor company in Baltimore where nobody knew about her controversy. I learned through shared acquaintances that she and Ryan attempted to sustain their connection for a few weeks after his step-down, but disintegrated rapidly once the wealth and influence vanished. Clara Harlan obtained her separation and half of everything Ryan possessed, which proved less than anticipated once his counsel fees were settled. She dispatched me a note thanking me for providing her the bravery to defend herself. As for me, I relocated from Tom's flat and acquired a modest residence on the opposite side of the city. I continued laboring for Harlan Builders, received advancement to lead site supervisor, and began courting again after a year's solitude. The fury that had devoured me for months gradually diminished, substituted by something I hadn't sensed in years: serenity. I demonstrated to myself that I wasn't the pitiful casualty Emily and Ryan had portrayed me as. I was more resilient than they'd ever envisioned, more astute than they'd ever credited, and more formidable than they'd ever imagined. Some might claim I exceeded limits, that retribution isn't the response to disloyalty. But those individuals have never had their existences demolished by someone they relied upon, never had their most private instance ridiculed and distributed to an unknown, never had to reconstruct their entire identity after uncovering that the individual they adored most in the world viewed them as nothing more than a barrier to surpass. Emily and Ryan believed they could seize whatever they desired from individuals they deemed inferior. They believed their wealth and prestige rendered them invulnerable. They believed erroneously. I didn't merely obtain retribution on them. I instructed them that deeds have repercussions, that others' existences count, and that sometimes the individual you least anticipate can be the one who causes your entire realm to collapse. And you know what? It felt pretty extraordinary.